Good afternoon, students. So, today we are going to read this chapter Luncheon, which is written by William Somerset Maugham. The author's details are given on page number 155. You can see over there that though trained to be a doctor, lived in Paris for 10 years. As a struggling young author, he abandoned medicine for the success of his early novels and plays. His semi autobiographical novel of human bondage, which was written in 1915, is his best known work. Then in 1917, Morgan worked as a spy for the British government. So, this luncheon, what do you mean by luncheon? Luncheon is basically a formal lunch, and in your book, it has been given that it is a light afternoon meal. All right, children. So we will straight away start with the chapter. But before I start the chapter, I will just give you a brief introduction that what is there in this chapter. What is the story? What is the background? Okay, so this story is an anecdotal experience of a writer. The protagonist of the story is basically a writer, and he had luncheon with one of his patrons, we can say. She was a fan of this writer. She used to read the books written by this writer, a lady, okay, who is an admirer of his story, and she wins the author's favor and expresses the she wants to expresses her feelings, and she wants to have luncheon with this writer. Okay, so what happens 20 years ago? The author was living in Paris when he had met this lady who is an admirer of the story, of whatever the story this author has written, and she met him at a play and relates to him the incident during the interval which occurred at that time. And she had read a book written by him and had written a letter to him about her views. And what else we can see? While she has written the letter, this flattered writer, okay, though he was quite poor at that time, he answered that he would surely meet her at the restaurant. And this restaurant was a luxurious restaurant. And when the menu was served to them, the writer, he was startled and he was surprised, and he saw that the prices were very high than what he expected. But this lady, the friend, she had set her mind, and she, after one after another, she started eating, she started ordering the dishes one after another, and the dishes were very expensive. Then what else we can see? The lunch, the writer, in the end we can see that he had to pay all the bill, and the writer became penniless. He had some money, and for the whole month he was having no money because he had paid for the luncheon. And then, but in the end, what did the writer said? That he had his revenge, because he had his revenge because what happened in the last, he found that this lady, when he met her, this lady had become fat, okay, because she loved to eat food. All right, so we will start with this story. I will read it out. I caught sight of her at the play, and in answer to her beckoning, I went over during the interval and sat down beside her. It was long since I had seen her, and if someone had not mentioned her name, I hardly think I would have recognized her. So, this writer was unable to recognize this lady. She addressed me brightly. Well, it's many years since we first met. How time does fly. We are none of us getting any younger. Do you remember the first time I saw you? You asked me to luncheon. Did I remember? It was 20 years ago, and I was living in Paris. I had a tiny apartment in the Latin Quarter overlooking a cemetery, and I was earning barely enough money to keep body and soul together. She had read a book of mine and had written to me about it. I answered, thanking her, and presently I received from her another letter saying she was passing through Paris and would like to have a chat with me. But her time was limited, and the only free moment she had was on following Thursday. Okay, so here they have met after a long break. Okay, and she was able to identify this writer, but this writer was unable to identify this lady. Okay, and this lady actually wanted to have chat with this author. Okay, and he said that the time, but her time was limited, and she was only free the moment, only free moment she had on the following Thursday. Okay, so she was spending the morning at the Luxembourg hotel, and would I give her a little luncheon at Foyot's afterwards? Foyot is a restaurant at which the French senators eat, and it was so far beyond my means that I had never ever thought of going there. So she had invited this writer at the Foyot's restaurant where the French senators, you know who are the senators? It is mentioned over. They are the members of the parliament. Okay, they are known as the senators, and the French senators have their meeting and their lunch over there in that restaurant. So this is actually a very famous and very luxurious hotel where this lady has asked this person to come and have luncheon with him, to her with her. Okay, so but I was flattered, and I was too young to learn to say no to people. This man was flattered, and he didn't know how to say no to the people. Okay, and he was not so wealthy also. I had 80 francs, gold francs, to last me the rest of the month, and a modest luncheon should not cost more than 15. Okay, now he had 80 francs, and he said that modest means normal luncheon should not cost him more than 15 francs. Okay, if I cut out coffee now, here you can see that this man is actually calculative. Okay, so whatever money he has left, he's calculating that okay, the lunch would cost this much, so I would have to cut my this. Means he's just calculative, very calculative with his money. He's, you can see over here in this line also, that if I cut out coffee for the next 2 weeks, I could manage well enough. I answered that would meet my friend by correspondence at Foyot's on Thursday at 12:30. Okay, so finally he accepted the proposal of luncheon from the friends, this lady, and he said that okay, he will meet her. Finally, in the next paragraph, we can see she was not so young as I expected, an appearance imposing rather than attractive. She was in fact a woman of 40, charming age, and she gave me impression of having more teeth, white and large, and even then than were necessary for any practical purpose. She was talkative, but since she seemed inclined to talk about me, I was prepared to be an attentive listener. So when he met this lady, he was, what he was expecting, that was just opposite of his expectations. Okay, and she was a lady, a woman of 40. Okay, and she was a very talkative lady. Means, and he thought, he actually, he was prepared, he was inclined, she seemed inclined to talk about me, and he was preparing himself that he will be an attentive listener. Instead of talking a lot, he will listen to her. All right. Further, we can see she was not so young as. Okay, this one is done. I was startled when the bill of fare was bought, for the prices were a great deal higher than I had anticipated. But she reassured me I never ate anything for luncheon, she said. Now, as the menu have come to them, and as you know, you also go to the restaurant, and first after going to a restaurant, you just look at the menu, and then you decide what to eat. So the same thing was happening here. You can just have that image in your mind that this lady is with this man, and they are having this their what you say, the luncheon, and the menu was is kept by the waiter, and this man is going through the menu, and as he was going through the menu, he was startled because the prices were very high. Okay, but this lady, what did she do? She reassured him that I never eat anything for luncheon. Okay, further we can say, oh, don't say that. I answered generously. I never eat more than one thing. I think people eat far too much nowadays. A little fish, perhaps. I wonder if they have any salmon. Now, after saying that I don't eat so much, then she's ordering fish and that also salmon. Okay, it is a type of fish. Well, it was early in the year for salmon and it was not on the bill of fare, but I asked the waiter if there was any. Yes, a beautiful salmon had just come in. It was the first they had got. See, this salmon, it was not the season of salmon. Okay, and when something is not having the season, their costs are very high. You know that, isn't it? And she has ordered this salmon. Okay, and yes, the salmon, they were having the salmon. I ordered it for my guest. The wait now he ordered the salmon for the guest, and the waiter asked her if she would have something while it was being cooked. She said no. I never eat more than one thing unless you had a little caviar. I never mind caviar. Now this waiter said that they are cooking salmon. Until then, this salmon get cooked. Does she want anything for this to just just as a starter? So she said no, no. I would not. I don't like anything to it, but yes, I will have a caviar. You see, caviar are the eggs. Okay, it's again eggs of a fish. Okay, caviar is basically eggs of a fish. She's telling no, and then again she's telling yes, I will have. So you can just imagine what I mean. She is a foodie. This girl, this lady is actually a foodie. Okay. My heart sank a little. Now, this man, after listening, this the heart of this man sank a little. I knew I could not afford caviar, but I could not very well tell her that the waiter, by all means, to bring caviar. For myself, I chose the cheapest dish on the menu, and that was a mutton chop. Okay, this he cannot say anything to this lady because she's a guest, and he cannot say anything to this waiter also. So what did he do? He just ordered the cheapest dish on the menu. Okay, and it was a mutton chop. Okay, I think you are unwise to eat meal, she said. I don't know how you can expect to work after heavy things like jobs. I don't believe in overloading my stomach. First of all, she has ordered caviar, and now she wants to eat salmon, and now she's telling this man, isn't this an irony? Okay, she's eating, she's going on eating, she's going on ordering dishes, and then she's telling to this man that you are overloading your stomach, and this man has just ordered a dish, and that is the cheapest dish, and that is a mutton chop. Then came the question of drink. Now, after ordering the fish and the caviar, then the question of drink means what they want to have for the drink. Now this lady is saying that I never drink anything for lunch, and she said neither do I answered promptly, except white wine. Okay, now this lady says that she wants white wine. She proceeded as though I have not spoken. This French white wines are so light, they are wonderful for the digestion. Would you like? I asked, hospitable, still but not exactly effusive. Okay, no. Now this person is in a dilemma state. Means he is in a confused state now. What to do? What not to do? This lady is saying something and she's doing something else. Okay, she's going on telling that she don't want to eat a lot. She don't like to eat heavy meal, but still she's going on ordering things. Okay, in the restaurant, and now she wants to have this white wine. Okay, so now, being a generous and gentleman, he's asking, okay, would you like? Okay, now I asked hospitable, but still, but not exactly effusive. Means he is not enthusiastic. He is not excited to offer her the white wine, but yes, because she's a guest, he has to do that. She gave me a bright and amicable flash of her white teeth. My doctor won't let me drink anything but champagne. Okay. I fancy I turned a trifle pale. I ordered half a bottle. I mentioned casually that my doctor had absolutely forbidden me to drink champagne. Now this poor guy, this lady says that I cannot drink anything, but I can drink champagne. and he became pale because she was ordering things which are of high cost. Now, what are you going to drink then? She's asking him, what are you going to drink then? He said, water. She ate the caviar and she ate the salmon. She talked gaily of art and literature and music, but I wondered what the bill would come to. When my mutton chop arrived, my guest took me quite seriously to task. Now, this lady, she has eaten her caviar, she has eaten salmon, and she was talking about all the things, stuffs, topics of art, literature, music. But this man is having his mind on something else, and he was wondering how much bill would it come. Okay, and when the mutton chopped arrived, now this lady takes him to task. Means she started scolding this man, and she's saying that I see that you are in a habit of eating heavy luncheon. I'm sure it's a mistake. Why don't you follow my example and just eat one thing? I'm sure would you would feel ever so much better for it. Now, after eating two dishes, she's telling this man that why you're not following my example as I eat only one dish. See, she's so cunning. I am only going to eat one thing, I said as the waiter came again with the bill of fare. She waved him aside with an airy gesture. No, no, I never eat anything for luncheon, just a bite. I never want more than that. I eat that more as an excuse for conversation than anything else. I couldn't possibly eat anything more unless they had some of those giant asparagus. I should be sorry to leave Paris without having some of them. Now, this lady is telling this that she wants to have the giant asparagus. Asparagus is basically a green vegetable, the shoots of which are eaten. Okay, my heart sank now after hearing this from this lady that she wants to have asparagus. Now his heart was becoming heavier. I had seen them in the shops and I knew that they are horribly expensive. My mouth had often watered at the mere sight of them. Okay, so now this lady wants to have asparagus. Okay, Madam wants to know if you have any of those giant asparagus, I asked the waiter. I tried with all my might to will him to say no. A happy smile spread on his broad, priest like face, and he assured me that he had some so large, so splendid, so tender that it was a marvel. Okay, now this man, even though he is unable to say to the waiter that that you say that there is no asparagus, but this waiter just he did opposite, and he said him that yes, there is plenty, and it is marvel. Okay, it is the best asparagus that they have. I'm not in the least hungry, my guest sighed, but if you insist, I don't mind having some asparagus. I ordered them. Aren't you going to have any? No, I never eat asparagus. Now this man, because of this lady, he has to again order the asparagus, even though he liked asparagus, but he will not eat it because he is not having much money with him. I know there are people who don't like them. The fact is, you ruin your palate by all the meat you eat. Now, this lady is saying that because you have eaten the mutton chop, that's why you have ruined your palate. Palate is actually sense of taste over here because you have eaten the meat. We waited for the asparagus to be cooked. Panic seized me. It was not a question now how much money I should have left over the rest of the month, but whether I had enough to pay the bill. Now, the question before the starting of the story, he was thinking that okay, if he could have money for the rest of the month, but right now, his only goal the only thing that is going in his mind is that whether he would be able to pay the bill in the restaurant, whatever that he had ordered for this lady. It would be mortifying to find myself 10 francs short and be obliged to borrow from my guest. I could not bring myself to that. Now this lady, because of this lady, this person is saying to himself, means he's talking to himself, and he's saying that it would be embarrassing. Mortifying means it would be embarrassing if he asked money from this lady because she's a guest. Okay, and he would not do this. So I made up my mind that if the bill came to more, I would jump up with a dramatic cry and say my pocket had been picked. Okay, now he's just making up his mind till the waiter comes with the order. So he's making up his mind what to do, what not to do, and this lady is busy in eating all the dishes. Okay, and this man is thinking that if the bill comes more, okay, if it costs more than what I have right now, what would I do? I would jump and I would say that my pocket means I have been my pocket has been picked. Okay, so of course it would not be awkward if she had not money enough either to pay the bill. Then the only thing would be to leave my watch and say I would come back and pay later. Okay, so he's thinking that he would give the watch and he would say to the restaurant people that he would come and pay back later. So this all things is going in his mind. The asparagus appeared. They were enormous, succulent. Succulent means full of juice and appetizing. The smell of the melted butter tickled my nostrils as I watched the abandoned woman thrust them down her throat in large, voluptuous mouthfuls. In my polite way, I discoursed on the condition of the drama in the balcony. At last, she finished. So finally, the asparagus came and she started eating the asparagus over here with showing pleasure and enjoyment. Okay, and they were talking on some topic, and then at last she finished. Now he is asking coffee. Yes, just an ice cream and coffee. Now, after eating asparagus, salmon, caviar, champagne, now she wants to have ice cream and coffee. I was past caring now, so I ordered coffee for myself and an ice cream and coffee for her. Means now he is not thinking at all. He said that now I have made up my mind. Either I will do two of the things that I have mentioned before. That either he will say that his pocket has been picked, or either he will give the watch and then he will come and pay back later. So, there's one thing I thoroughly believe in, she said, as she ate the ice cream. One should always get up from a meal, one could eat a little more. Now she's saying that one should always get up from a meal feeling that one could eat a little more. Means a person should have empty stomach even after eating a lot of things. Are you still hungry? I asked faintly. Now this person is asking, are you still hungry? This man, oh no, I'm not hungry. You see, I don't eat lunch and I have a cup of coffee in the morning and then dinner. But I never eat more than one thing for lunch. And I was speaking for you. Now this lady, after eating a lot of things, she's speaking for this person. Okay, now he says, oh, I see. Then a terrible thing happened. While we were waiting for the coffee, the head waiter, with a smile on his face, came up to us bearing a large basket full of huge peaches. Peaches is a type of fruit. Okay, so the head waiter, he came with that. But surely peaches were not in the season then. Lord knew what they cost. I knew too a little later, for my guest, going on with her conversation, absent mindedly took one. Now, what happened? This guest, she took one of the peaches. Peaches are a type of fruit. Okay, and this waiter has brought this peaches, and that was not the season of peaches. Okay, and then as I've told you, when there is no season of a special, means particularly if there is not a season of particular thing, whether it is a fruit or vegetable, the cost becomes high. Now this lady, she absent mindedly she took one peach. Okay, now you see you have filled your stomach with lot of meat, my one miserable little chop, and you can't eat any more. But I have just had a snack and I shall enjoy a peach. The bill came, and when I paid, I found that I had only one enough for a quite inadequate tip. Okay, now here the bill came, and when he paid, he found out that he had only won a quite inadequate stomach with a lot of meat. My one miserable little chop, and you can't eat any more. But I have just had a snake, and I shall enjoy a peach. Then the bill came, and when I paid it, I found out that I had only enough for a quite inadequate tip. So finally, they are going to finish their luncheon, and this man is saying that you see you have filled your stomach with lot of meat, my one miserable little chop, and you can't eat anymore. But I have just had a snake, and I shall enjoy peach. Okay, now as the bill came, he paid the bill, and then he found out that he had enough for a quite inadequate tip, only less money he has. Now her eyes rested for an instant on the 3 francs. I left for the waiter and I knew that she thought me mean. But when I walked out of the restaurant, I had the whole month before me and not a penny in my pocket. Okay, now this lady thought that this man is mean when she saw only 3 francs that has been left with him. But as he walked out of the restaurant, what did he saw? What did he find out that he had whole month before him, and he had not even a penny in his pocket. Follow my example, she said, as we shook hands, and never eat more than one thing for luncheon. Now this lady is saying that you follow my example after eating this many dishes. She's telling this man that you follow my example and don't have more than one thing for luncheon. I will do better than that, I retorted. I will eat nothing for dinner tonight. Now this man is saying in a sarcastic manner. This is a sarcasm actually. He said that I will do better than that and I will eat nothing for the dinner tonight. Humorist, she cried gaily, jumping into a cab. You are quite a humorist. Okay, a person with humorist is actually a person with good sense of humor. Now, because she is not having anything in reply to this man, whatever this man has said to her, so she's telling him as a humorist. But I have had my revenge at last. I do not believe that I am a vindictive man, but when the immortal gods take a hand in the matter, it is pardonable to observe the result with complacency. Today she weighs 21 stone. Okay, now finally in the end we can see that he's telling that this whatever this lady has done, the gods has taken, they have made their judgment and the revenge has been taken because she has become fat. Okay, stone means unit of weight used in England and some other countries. It is mentioned over here in your book, you can see bottom of the page. Okay, so finally he had his revenge. So this is about this chapter, and the lesson we can learn from this chapter. You can see that basically the theme here. The speaker in luncheon wishes from the beginning that his date would be a beautiful woman. He imagines a portrayal of a graceful lady. You know how ladies are graceful, showing feminism. Okay, that was what it was having in his mind. But when he goes to have lunch with her, she appears as a surprising blast, a total opposite to his imagination. We can see when I was teaching you, it has been mentioned that she was not so attractive and in her 40s, isn't it? And not only her appearance but also her dialogues expresses that she is extremely fat, food loving and ravenous woman who does not even think a bit about the cost the speaker would have to pay for the lunch. Means she is not understanding. We say that sometimes people understand, they adjust. She is not that lady. She's opposite. She's food loving, she is fat, and what she's going on ordering this dishes one after the another. She has a very good appetite and gobbles a lot of money also. The most interesting part is the verbal irony hidden in the lines she utters to the speaker, like she does not eat too much, etc. Means this is an irony. She is telling that she does not eat too much, but still she is going on ordering the dishes after dishes. First salmon, then caviar, then champagne, then further we can see ice and coffee and asparagus. Okay, the irony concealed in her speeches helps to develop the main theme. These ironies make luncheon a comic story in the true sense. Okay, so this is the irony. And what is the lesson that we have learned from this? The lesson that can be found in in this humorous short story is that flattery and pride can hamper uh, the young man's ability to be truthful with his guest. Okay, he allows, because what happens here, he allows her to continue to order expensive items and the dishes from the menu. Because he was not knowing how to say no to this women. So that's why, because of his pride, because of the flattery and the pride, he was unable to be truthful with his guest that he is not earning a lot or he is not having much money to pay for the bill of whatever she has ordered. So this is all about the stories, children. Write down the word meanings in your copies and read the story, and you can write the summary of the story in your own words. Thank you and have a nice day.